It's a big day on Thursday this week for Europa League Matchday 2 on Thursday, August 3rd, with 18 Europa League games being played. There's 9 early games, 9 afternoon games. On Matchday 1, if we look back, there was 12 of 18 games saw the both teams to score bet cashing. The over 2.5 went also 11-7. Home teams were also a good bet, going 10-5-3. Now I've gone through this week's Thursday's games and come out with 6 picks to include into 2 different parlays that I think have a great chance to hit for this week's Europa League predictions. Let's get into them. Parlay number 1, 3 games. We'll start with Lazio and Nice. Lazio are the 3rd highest scorers with the 4th highest XG and the 2nd most shots on target in Italy so far. Their 12 goals for that they've scored and their 3-1-2 record is good, but they've also allowed 10 goals, and that's tied for the 6th most as well. Tati Castellanos and Boulaye Dia are off to hot starts with 3 goals each in Serie A. Dia scored a brace versus Kyiv on match day 1. Both Lazio and their opponents, Dynamo Kyiv, took red cards last game. Score was already well out of reach though at 3-0, which is also how it ended. Nice drew at home to Real Sociedad 1-1 on match day 1. In Ligue 1, they're just 2-2-2 sitting in 9th. They've allowed just 6 goals. However, 5 of those goals have come on the road, and that's where they'll be here. They've conceded twice to Auxerre, once to Angers, and to Marseille. They could be out 5 to 6 players as well to potential injuries. Lazio, going back to last season in all competitions, have now scored in 15 straight. I'm betting that continues here. Let's bet Lazio to at least score 1. Lazio over 0.5. Leg number 2 in this 3-leg parlay. Rigas and Galatasary. Latvia's first place side, Rigas, had a tough start to their Europa League campaign, losing 4-1 away to Romania's FCSB. They conceded just 8 minutes into that game, and they gave up 18 shots and 8 shots on target. Galatasaray and their game piled up the shots and goals themselves on match day 1, beating PAOK 3-1. They had 25 shots, 9 shots on target. Now, FCSB are not even a top team in Romania this season. They're just 3-4-3, currently 10th place. Galatasaray's first in Turkey. They're 6-1-0. They've yet to lose. They've already scored 23 goals in 7 games. This will be a big step up for Rigas. Galatasaray have scored 5 and 5 goals across their past 6 games in all competitions. Victor Osimhen is a potential injury doubt, but even without him, the Turkish Giants will still be a big step up in class for Rigas. This should be a Galatasaray win. That's what we'll take. Galatasaray on the money line. Hoffenheim, Dynamo Kyiv is the next to round out this parlay. Hoffenheim will be disappointed to have drawn away to Danish side Midtjylland 1-1 on match day 1. Dynamo Kyiv, meanwhile, got blown away 3-0 by Lazio. They are tops, though, in the Ukrainian league, undefeated, 6-1-0. Kyiv doesn't fare well, though, in this competition. If we look back over the seasons, looking back to past Europa League campaigns, they've now gone winless in 9. They have 1 win in 16, and they've kept just 1 clean sheet in 15. They've also been shut out in 6 of their past 9 Europa League games. Hoffenheim in all competitions, though, they're winless in 5 right now this season, losing 4. They rarely kept, almost never kept a clean sheet last season, and that has continued into this year as well. They do, though, usually score. Their score lines have been, across all comps this season, 2-2, going on to win in PKs, a 3-2 win, 3-1 loss, 4-1 loss, 2-1 loss, and 4-3 loss. So goals are flying all over the place in Hoffenheim games, much like they were last season. You would, though, still expect a Hoffenheim home win here. They are definitely the better team, but they're in poor form. They're missing many players to injury. They could also be out top scorer Andre Kramaric. They do have their other 3 players who have scored in the Bundesliga who should be fit to play, though. Still, they should be able to get at least 1 goal, I would think. Kyiv, too, they're down several players, including forward Maxim Baragua, who was red-carded last game. I don't trust Hoffenheim to win lately, but I do trust them to at least score. Hoffenheim to score, Galatasaray to win, Lazio to score. That will come in at minus 115 odds for parlay number 1. Let's continue on in the Europa League match day 2 predictions. 1 more parlay, 3 more games. We'll go to Porto and Manchester United. Man U have been disappointing in the EPL so far. They're 2-1-3. They're 13th. And that disappointment continued in the Europa League, where they drew 1-1 with Dutch side 20 on match day 1 at Old Trafford. This weekend they lost 3-0 to Spurs as well. That gives them the joint worst record to start an EPL season ever for them. Porto traveled to a cold pitch in Norway and played out a shootout with Bodo Glimt, ultimately losing 3-2. Porto have just 1 loss in Portugal, though, so far in their season. They've only lost to first-place Sporting. Other than that 2-0 loss to Sporting, they've scored 2 or more goals in all 7 other games across all competitions, and they've also kept 5 clean sheets. At home in all competitions, Porto have scored in 14 straight, and in 22 of 23. They're also 18-3-1 in those home games, but then they've only won 1 of 7 recent Europa League games across multiple seasons. I certainly don't trust Man U to get the win. This could be an exciting both teams to score. I'm just going to ask Porto to score to start off this parlay. Porto over 0.5. Next up, Athletic Bilbao from La Liga and AZ Alkmaar from the Dutch League. AZ was involved in a shootout at home to Elfsberg on matchday 1, winning 3-2, while Bilbao went to Italy, drew Roma 1-1. AZ are third in the Netherlands at 5-1-1. They scored 17 compared to only allowing 4, but they are coming off their first loss of the season this weekend, a 2-1 defeat to Utrecht. This weekend, Bilbao were moments away from a win over Sevilla until an own goal in the 93rd minute saw them draw that game 1-1. It improved, though, and continued an impressive home run of records and stats for Bilbao. Bilbao at home in the Sant Mamés is as close to a lock as you could have. In all competitions, when they're playing at home, they have 1 loss in 27, recently losing 1-0 to Atletico Madrid, and that being one of only 2 games in that time where they have not scored, the other being against Barcelona. Both of those teams much better than AZ. AZ might be in good form, but they still gave up 2 to Elfsberg, a team nowhere near the level of Bilbao. You would think Bilbao gets this win. I would certainly expect them to at least score a goal. So we'll go Bilbao to score. Next, and the final leg, Ferencvarosi and Tottenham. Go back over the years, and Ferencvarosi have only lost 1 of 10 times against an English side in a European competition. Now that's the good news. The bad news is this Spurs team this year are the bookies' favorites to win the Europa League title. Spurs have already lost to Newcastle and Arsenal in the EPL, and they likely know that's an unrealistic goal to win the EPL title this season, but perhaps they can get a title and some silverware in this competition. Since those losses, though, they've won 2-1, 3-1, 3-0 in the Europa League Matchday 1 over Qarabag, and then also 3-0 over Man U this Sunday, if you're looking back at all of their competitions this season. On paper, this should be an easy Tottenham win, but then they did draw Leicester 1-1 this season, a newly promoted team, and they only beat Coventry 2-1 in the Carabao Cup. Now, granted, that's probably not tops on their list of priorities. But more importantly, let's look at this Hungarian side that proved to be a tough nut to crack. They did lose 2-1 to Anderlecht on matchday 1, but they are first in Hungary at 6-0-0, scoring 12, conceding just 2. But more importantly, let's also look back to last year in the Europa League, where you would have thought they'd get easily blown out against one of the best teams we've seen in years in Leverkusen, but they only lost by 2-0 scorelines in both of those games, and in both of those games, it was just 1-0 until the final 10 minutes. So they did prove capable of hanging with some tough competition very recently. They even beat Leverkusen in this competition going back a few years into 2021. Say what you want, maybe they just match up well against Leverkusen, but they've not been getting blown out at this level. I'm just going to ask, though, for there to be over 1.5 goals in this game. Either Spurs blow them out like they should, or it's a similar tight defeat for Ferencvarosi like the Leverkusen games last season, or maybe even the Hungarians get on the score sheet too. Tottenham do not always keep clean sheets. I would expect, though, Spurs to score regardless. Let's just ask for over 1.5 goals in this game, paired with the Bilbao goal, the Porto goal to come in at minus 124 odds in this parlay. Those will be my Europa League Matchday 2 predictions, picks, parlays. Be sure to let me know what you're betting on Thursday down there in the comments. If you found this info helpful, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. Consider becoming a member to get even more soccer analysis and picks. And if you want a great bonus to get some big-time bonus money if you're a new customer, go to signupexpert.com/shredthespread. That link is down there in the comments. There's lots of bonus money out there for new customers at all the different sports books, even up to as much as $1,500 at some of them. Check it out, and you can see all the picks from this video in the graphic at the end of this video.